Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But I was in Liberty County, which is north,
gotcha,
so I went
okay.
down. But also going anywhere, I went down to so-and-so. I went down to where?
Fair enough.
If I go up to D.C., I went down to, D.C.
Do you?
It's just, yeah,
I don't believe you.
Colloquially.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
Colloquially? Colloquially? Morning, everybody. This is this week's episode of the Texas Bullpen Podcast. I am Brad Johnson. With me is Jonathan Richie. And Richie, this has been a hell of a day.
It's been a hell of a day, a hell of a week. Some even say a hell of a life. For those listening and not watching the video, which I don't know why you would do that and be deprived of Brad and I's beautiful faces and charming dispositions. We are doing this podcast recording with some liquid inebriations.
Yes.
Because the first one we recorded with coffee, and then we stood up after an hour of sensational conversation.
It was
great,
stellar.
Witty banter, one of our bests. We don't stand up and look at the camera, and it didn't record a thing because
The memory card was full.
memory card was full, which I can relate to at times. Sometimes it feels like my memory card.
Which is why you have
which is why I do this
some bourbon to unlock the rest of your memory.
To delete it.
Yeah. No, this is...
this is take 2 now of the podcast. Lord willing, no technological demons or
No
our own
gremlins.
incompetence takes us this
Yeah,
time.
it certainly wasn't our own incompetence. That wasn't the case.
Yeah, it was somebody else's fault.
Yes.
We're going to get to the bottom of this. We're calling on an investigation. We are opening up hearings.
Yep.
They will be calling witnesses. We will get down to it. This is worse than Watergate.
Yes. I keep looking around to see who's responsible, and for some reason I ended up in front of the mirror out in the hallway, and this was my fault. So this time, hopefully, it records, and hopefully we are coming to you live. Well, not sort of live.
Yeah.
A little bit live.
Sort
We're
of.
live right now.
We are alive right now. Hopefully still will be when this comes
Yes.
out. Always
So,
a chance.
With that said, I guess let's get into it.
Yeah.
Richie.
With that said, we have a great piece of technology that we just launched this week. That is totally outside of you or I's ability to mess it up because we had some techno wizards cook up a brand new campaign finance tracker. You can go to our website. It's available to our wonderful, beautiful subscribers. People keep telling me that Texas Bullpen subscribers are, pound for pound, the prettiest people in the state of Texas, and I think we have...
Fact check true.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. And so if you're not a subscriber, you need to be part of this very, very valued and treasured group, really a class above everybody else, and you get access to the Campaign Finance Tool Tracker, which compiles everything, all the data from the federal and state databases. We wrestle with it, so you don't have to. In a wonderful, easy-to-use format, it's got all these graphs and bars, tons of bells and whistles, and there's only going to be more because this is a beta build.
Yep.
And as we are developing it out, if you have ideas, thoughts, suggestions,
Yep.
reach out to us. But walk us through a little bit more why this tool is so helpful and needed.
I mean, we had one of the things we rolled out with this publication is a data set and a set of data sets. The biggest one is the finance reports because people love it, and it's, first of all, for me, it's interesting to do and burrow my way through because you learn a lot.
Yeah.
And people love it. Is one of our most valued products, but it took forever to compile.
It was you and me, Cassie, and some other valued and treasured friends literally pulling up every single report from the FEC or the state filing system and plugging it in manually.
Yeah.
I mean, we were doing it by hand. I mean, the only thing that we didn't use was an abacus.
Yeah. So we realized that's foolhardy, and we have other stuff that we need to do. So we talked to these, as Richie calls them, techno wizards. Every time you say, this is the third time you said that. And every time,
this is the third time we started this podcast.
Every time you say that, I think, what is it with the Swedish EDM DJs? Why do you keep using the word techno? Tech
It's
wizards.
short for technology.
But techno is a music genre.
Yeah,
a not very good one, if I do say so myself. but-
Techno rolls into wizards easier
okay.
than tech wizards. That's a very hard stop.
Whatever you say. But check it out. You can find the Techno Wizards finance
you see
tracker.
How mean he is to me. This is what's crazy. He's like, yeah, man, let's go start this thing, and then he just is so mean all the time. And I'm working so hard. I'm just a boy. As we were just watching right before here, Trump was giving some remarks, and he ends it with, "I just went to be a good boy." It's like, I mean, so true. Very relatable.
Oh my gosh.
And yet you're so mean.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sorry. Check out the campaign finance report tracker on our website. Next week is the TEC 8-day filing. A lot of information is going to be coming through for that.
And there really isn't another tool like this available. So that's why we had it made, because it is such a bear of a task to go through and dig up all this data. And so now it's coming out. I mean, it updates automatically.
Looks nice. It's easy to use. So subscribe at texasbullpen.com if that tickles your fancy, and you'll have full access. It better. We put a lot of work into it. So let's dive into the news of the week, the happenings, as it were. You were on the road from Wednesday to Wednesday.
Yep.
And traversed the state.
Yeah.
What'd you do? Where were you this week?
So Wednesday, I left Austin after a packed day, being in the Supreme Court, and then we had wonderful interviews with Kelly Hancock and Christy Craddock, two of the candidates for the GOP nomination and comptroller. Scooted on down to Houston, went to Liberty County, attended a candidate forum with those, and we'll circle back to some of those races.
Yep.
Briscoe Kane, Alex Mueller, Trent Ashby, a lot of good candidates out there, and which was a really long candidate forum. And then the next day, I was up down in Houston proper for Mayor John Whitmire's State of the City.
Isn't that over from where we are now? Over in Houston proper?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But I was in Liberty County, which is north,
gotcha.
so I went down. Okay. But also going anywhere is I went down to so-and-so. I went down to where?
Fair enough.
If I go up to D.C., I say I went down to D.C.
Do you?
It's just,
I don't believe you.
Colloquially.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
Colloquially? Colloquially? Sorry, I keep cutting you off. Continue.
No, that's a good one. That's just a word I struggle with, but I still try to say. And the first time we recorded this podcast, I apologize to all of the listeners because I very much mispronounce a lot of things, and it's because there are so many words that I've only read but not heard.
Yeah.
And even the words that I have heard, I still just sometimes struggle. Again, going back, I'm just trying to be a good boy.
Yeah.
I'm from East Texas. The fact that I can speak English at all that's comprehensible is
fair.
An achievement in and of itself.
Yes.
So, anyways, went down to Houston, State of the City address, very interesting, did some great write-ups on that, some more on the way because, and we'll get into this later, I love covering the cities, Houston and Dallas. There's a tug-of-war there. There's a long-standing feud, and it's just fascinating to watch. Municipal politics is just a fun field because these cities are basically, small countries. I mean, they've got massive budgets. But anyway, so the State of the City was real fun. Slept on down to Galveston for the weekend for a little Mardi Gras action.
Oh.
Legally, I'm not allowed to talk about what happened. But it was pretty good.
What happens in Galveston stays in Galveston.
Yeah, what happens in Galveston stays in Galveston. It's an island, so you don't bring stuff back to the mainland. You leave it out there.
Okay.
Let it flow into the
whatever you
coast.
say. All right.
And
okay.
then up to Dallas for two debates.
We had actual debates, not just forums.
Yeah, not just forums. We had the agricultural commissioner debate on Sunday, which was crazy.
Yeah, run us through that.
So it was a packed standing room only. This is, to my knowledge, the first actual debate between incumbent Sid Miller and the Abbott-backed, and really backed by a lot of people, including the Texas Farm Bureau, other statewide elected officials like Don Buckingham, challenger Nate Sheets. And this has turned into one of the feistier primaries right now in a very feisty cycle. I mean, there are a lot of good, fun, interesting races happening, and agriculture commissioner is, one that people might not necessarily think about very often, but because it's a down ballot statewide. But man, the feelings have been hurt. The bombs are being lobbed, and people care a lot. So it was packed, standing room only, theater room in Dallas. And immediately you walk in and you can just tell there's the electricity about the room. And then literally the candidates walked out and were announced as if they were boxers to really kind of setting the scene for a very contentious evening. And the crowd immediately let you know that they were not just going to be spectators. They were going to be participants. And there were a lot of very vocal supporters on both sides. And you could immediately tell, they viewed it as a competitive process on which side could be louder. And it just continued
Who was louder?
To escalate. So I would have to give, numerically, I think Sheets had more supporters in the room there. However, and we'll get to this, the Sid Miller supporters
punched above their weight.
Almost literally. Thankfully that didn't happen, and thankfully it wasn't me getting punched.
Although you almost were.
I had front row seats to the action, and so yeah, just a very rambunctious, unruly crowd. They were engaging with the candidates. Sometimes questions would be yelled out from the audience. And the candidates would respond as well. And if the candidate said something they didn't like, they would laugh, jeer, boo, at times groan. Maybe the funniest moment of the debate was there was a question about halal prepared or compliant foods in Texas public schools, which is the Islamic dietary regulations. And Sid Miller goes up there and says, it's not really that. First of all, he pushes back against the Islamification of Texas, which has become a very big talking point for the GOP this cycle. And then he says, but this halal stuff is not really a big deal. It just consists of a Muslim cleric coming in and blessing it during the process, which isn't exactly true. But then he goes and says, it's really not that much different from kosher. Immediately, the whole room just lets out a massive groan.
Because?
Disappointment, because it was hosted by the American Jewish conservatives. And so it was just
talk about stepping on a rake.
Yeah,
there.
It was.
Oh my god,
it was kind of rough. And he immediately kind of backtracked and was like, "Well, it's it's a little different." But it was there's what's that movie where it shows everybody slapping their foreheads?
With a 2x4.
Or no, it's like a meme. Anyways, everybody basically did that.
Yeah, it's like monks hitting themselves.
Oh yeah, well there's
Monty
that.
Python and the
There's
Holy
Monty
Grail.
Python. There's that. There's also just. Anyways, it was kind of a brutal moment there, but that was the tone of the night. I mean, the rails. It went off the rails. The wheels fell off of the rails. Everything just
went haywire.
And the moderators, I want to make a point of this. The moderators did a very admirable job trying to keep things on track. And we got through the night, and it was a fun debate. It was a Texas politics debate, which is refreshing, to see. And the biggest kind of blow up happened is because there was a guy essentially with a media organization. He was recording the debate, but he kept on interrupting the debate and yelling extremely loudly at Nate Sheets, calling him a liar, and then kind of engaging in some banter. And I mean, he kept doing this even after being asked to stop. And then it got so, just over the top that other members in the audience started yelling at him to sit down. And then he posted up and yelled back, "Make me," and really was prepared and ready to fight. And this is happening 12 inches in front of him.
There's
Yeah,
There's a video of you. Tony Ortiz put out a video of it, and
I'm like
there's
right
little
there.
Richie just like
Yeah,
huddled,
I'm just clacking away on my electronic typewriter.
trying not to catch a stray.
Literally just like, don't look at me. Don't make eye contact, please. Like, just go. And he was asked to sit down, to stop, because he was like roving around, but he continued to like stomp around the room and kept talking to other Miller supporters in the crowd, namely a guy named Tony Noun, who we'll talk about a little bit later here, because he is a staffer for Miller and also doing some political things as well. And so eventually this guy had to be escorted out by armed security because he just would not stop yelling at Sheets.
I forget the guy's name, but a friend of mine sent the the announcement video that this guy did when he launched his news network. Now, I'm using air quotes for people that are just listening on audio. He's really kind of like a great value version of Alex Jones in terms of like stirring up stuff, and clearly very right wing, but his production value is a lot worse than InfoWars. And clearly, he was
Which
just
of
using
course
his
you
phone.
watch all the time.
Oh yeah, a big InfoWars guy. You know, I've been warning
I've
about
heard
the
that.
fluoride in the water for years now.
I've heard that about you.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a question that was brought up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they asked about fluoride. They also asked about chemtrails from airplanes or whatever.
Yeah.
Which they both opposed.
Yeah, chemtrails are bad.
And Nate Sheets suggested that they were responsible for killing off like 65% of the bee population.
The chemtrails are?
Yeah.
Here, I thought it was just people over mowing and flowers not.
I don't
Not
know.
being allowed
But we
to-
gotta
wildflowers
do,
not being allowed
we
to
do
grow.
have to do something about the bees. I like my honey. You
Yeah.
know, so
Yeah.
we've got to. I've actually ordered a beehive for the office.
Oh God, that's why I got a notification today.
Yeah.
I will not be here to pick that up. You get to deal with that. Okay, so you mentioned Tony Noun, and the reason, and this came up at the very end, and just to actually tell us first what was brought up unprompted by Sheets.
So, as a part of Sheets' closing statement, he took time to address, address his past, where he's had problems with alcoholism, pornography. He had an affair on his wife in the past, and something that has been circulating and being pushed out, he said, by the Miller team are old audio clips of podcasts he had done where he's very openly discussing this as a part of like his Christian testimony of like, I was struggling with these things, very open about it, and then, submitted my life to Christ and went through this process of working with the church and things like that, and got forgiveness with my family and things of that nature. And so this has been really pushed out by maybe people connected to Miller and stuff like that. So he took time to address that openly as part of his closing, and then also pointed out Tony Noun, who had been pointed out earlier in the debate by Sid Miller, because this guy is a staffer at the Texas Department of Agriculture. He's a Go Texas ambassador, which is a part of like promoting Texas agriculture internationally. And Miller had pointed him out, and kind of as a part of patting himself on the back for the good work that program is doing. But then at the end, Sheets points him out as the guy pushing all of this stuff out to media and other people, and trying to use it.
The primary way he's been doing that is he created this website. It's a TAC website. We see it in every race. There's a bunch of them in the Senate race. I think there's a couple in the Attorney General's race.
We should do a compilation on best names for these attack websites.
Yeah, we should do that.
Because there's like Cornyn's got the Crooked Ken one, which we've heard before, but this one is pretty clever. We have to admit.
Soiledsheets.com.
Soiled Sheets.
Yeah, and obviously a great play on last name, but it is a very clearly modestly done website.
Bare bones.
Bare bones. The text is awful, awful to read. The layout's just not good. It's very unsophisticated. But it doesn't need to be to serve the purpose that it's trying to do, which is provide a landing page for all of these podcast recordings that you were talking about. And it puts it all in there. It provides some transcription. And if you look at the bottom, it says paid for by, I think it's United Republicans of Texas or something.
Some very generically named.
Yeah, which of course we've talked before. We have a bone to pick about. Let's get some more creative, some more unique names instead of, 50 shades of republicanism or conservatism. It's just too much.
At some point, there's not going to be any arrangement of words left.
I know. Yeah. I did have a buddy in college who his idea for a business, he's a political consultant. His idea was to create the attack pack where people just pay him to go attack anything. Whatever it is, just attack them. Hater. Yeah, professional hater. And I don't think he ever rolled it out, but
oh man,
the idea is there. Somebody wants to do it. You might make a good penny.
You heard it here first.
Yep. So that group owns this this website, and it says the treasured by Tony Noun as on the disclaimer at the bottom. If you go look at that group on the TEC website, he is the treasurer of the PAC. It's been inactive since 2016. Obviously, it's getting revived for this cycle, and it's serving as the attack mechanism for Miller against Sheets, and there's been plenty of attacks going the opposite way too. So they're both cleaving each other on this stuff.
Yeah, and this is something we mentioned is this was probably the most serious challenge to Miller because he's had previous challengers, but this one, Greg Abbott has weighed in and endorsed Sheets. Like we mentioned, other statewides, a ton of the agriculture industry is backing Sheets as well.
Yep.
Sheets has
state senators,
money.
Yep.
I mean, it's now. Will it ultimately matter? We really don't know because Miller is pretty entrenched, and all the polling that's come out shows that Sheets is going to have to, pull some rabbit out of his hat, maybe a beehive or something, if he's gonna knock off Miller as ag commissioner. But it has certainly engendered a lot of animosity.
Yeah.
Going both ways, and I mean. Really, I can't overstate just kind of how wild the scenes were.
Yeah.
Like, Tony Ortiz and I afterwards, we just kind of looked at each other like, whoa.
What did we just witness?
Dude, what was that? Because, I mean, there are former Miller staffers who have defected, are backing Sheets, and are very, very publicly vocal about it. And, I mean, one of them, her name is Bonnie, she was, standing up and, pointing at Noun, when Sheets was bringing him up and stuff. I mean, it was a whole very engaged crowd.
Mm-hmm.
And it stood in stark contrast to the debate that we went to on Tuesday, which you came up for, which was the Attorney General's debate, which has been a very high octane race.
Oh, yeah.
We talk about it a lot. Pound for pound, probably the most interesting race this cycle.
Yep.
Ton of very well-known candidates. And I mean, the Democrat side is also very interesting.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Joe Jaworski and Nathan Johnson, who we had on the podcast earlier today. That's coming out Monday.
It was a good conversation.
It was a great conversation.
Tune in for that on Monday.
Many people are saying it was the most perfect conversation.
Oh, really? Oh,
that's ever happened.
Dang, that's a high review. So I appreciate that.
It was a perfect call.
Awesome. There is a third candidate, and his name is Tony Box. He's a Dallas attorney, and what that means is this is probably going to a runoff.
Yeah.
I don't see the Democratic side. I don't see them anybody reaching 50 in that contest. So, but it does seem like Johnson and Jaworski are the two frontrunners. Now, there was a clear frontrunner in the Republican side, and you could see that based on how the debate unfolded, which was entertaining. I thought it was a very good debate. They actually did talk some substance in policy.
It stayed on the rails.
Yes.
Nobody got hauled out by armed security.
But it wasn't boring either.
It wasn't boring.
And they were throwing punches. And most of the punches were thrown at Chip Roy.
Yes.
Which shows you he's the front runner, of course.
And polling confirms that. And it's a name ID thing. People know Chip.
It's just confirming, a basic level of common sense about the race, right? Because, of course, Jasmine Crockett has the same thing, where if you're a U.S. congressman, especially up against state lawmakers, you just have more base name ID that gives you a higher floor. Doesn't mean he's going to win, but it gives him a better foundation from which to operate.
Yeah.
So a lot of the attacks went against him. We saw Mays hit him. We saw Aaron Wrights hit him. We didn't see Joan Huffman attack Roy.
Which is interesting. This is one of the things that fascinates me the most about this race is, like, everybody knows it's going to run off, most likely.
Yeah.
There's an outside chance maybe Chip gets above 51, but it seems very, very, very slim.
Yeah, I wouldn't bet on it.
Yeah. And two candidates know they're not making it. And we're starting, I think, to see a shifting of alliances and things like that where it's like, and it started to kind of display itself both on stage, but then especially off stage, where, Wrights and Mays Middleton were obviously very much going primarily after Chip, trying to knock him down. Huffman kind of stayed out of it. She took some jabs at Wrights and I think one or two at Middleton, but it's also not her style to be as, like, combative.
No. But she did take some jabs, like you said.
She did make some jabs. Because, again, it was a very interesting debate. It was produced by The Blaze, and it was hosted by RAGA, the Republican Attorney General's Association. There were several state attorney generals there. Ken Paxton was in the audience. Chris Kobach from Kansas was there. Afterwards, we saw Wrights and Mays Middleton very much being extremely cordial with each other, but almost a little bit more than cordial. There seems to be...
reading the tea leaves there, aren't you, Richie?
Yeah, perhaps.
Yeah. And, you can read it the other way, where the only person who did not attack Roy was Huffman. And,
Huffman.
does that... And the other factor there is Mays is a fellow state senator for Huffman, but I don't know. The juxtaposition of her seems to indicate she's more friendly to Chip Roy, but we'll see after the election, right?
Yeah.
I didn't think anybody really won or lost. I mean, it was kind of a debate where everyone went in with their favorites and they left thinking their favorite won. Mm-hmm. Nobody was convinced one way or the other. Confirmed priors. And
nobody really, made a terrible mistake.
Nobody flubbed. The closest thing we got to that was on the question about the U.S. Supreme Court and
who you want to see appointed.
Yep, and that the half flub I'd say was Joan Huffman, and she blanked on any specific name and ended up just saying she thinks Trump should nominate a qualified conservative woman, and the others had actual names.
Maybe she was meaning herself.
Maybe. Hey, I would much rather be a U.S. Supreme Court justice than a state senator or an attorney general. Yeah.
Something that always is very interesting to me is I'm pretty sure there's only ever been one Supreme Court justice from Texas ever. Back.
This sounds like deja vu. It's almost like
I know it's really fun pretending like we haven't had this exact conversation before. It's always very interesting to hear how you phrase things differently than the first time.
Oh, yeah.
Because, the first time we're just kind of throwing it out there. But now we've had practice. So it's okay, I'm going to say it this way now instead of that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's only been one Supreme Court justice born in Texas, which is crazy because Texas is...
we should have looked that up between the second take and now the third
I'm
take.
Very confident on this one. But
no, I mean the name, because I asked you last time I asked you the name, and you're like, I don't know, some dude in the 20th century. I don't know.
Some dude, JD. Some dude. We have our phones. We actually could indeed look it up. We're really good at this, actually.
Yeah, we're a little loopy at this point.
We were so devastated at not having the file. So, anyways.
It was a good spectacle. I'm glad we made the trip. It's not going to change anything.
No, I don't think it's really moving the needle very much, except you got people clips of things.
We've seen those out on social media already,
and everybody stayed to their messaging. There wasn't any bombshells. There wasn't anything. Wrights very much pushed that he was endorsed by Paxton. Chip talks about he's got the Ted Cruz endorsement. And these people, while this was the first debate, they have been on the road at events sparring with each other for months. I mean, when we think about, again, going back to the races, there really hasn't been a race where all the candidates have been on the road together as much as these people have. I mean, we've seen them all four at events, several events before. They're just always going. They've spent a lot of time together. They know how to go after each other. They know what buttons to press.
And they've heard it all before.
Yeah. So nobody was... The people who were least surprised about everything were them, because they've done this song and dance so many times on the campaign show.
It just hasn't been as well produced. And there was literally a red carpet on the stage, and it looked really nice. The branding was done really well. Most of these other debates had just been in.
The only critique on the production was the sound was a little tough.
Yeah.
And the overhead lighting was so aggressive.
Man, we have some good bad pictures.
Let me tell you, I've really taken to this whole picture taking thing. I love running around with the camera, taking pictures of all these
you never
people.
let me use it anymore.
Yeah, I know. Well, I
ridiculous.
like it. I'm better than you at it.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, well, I am. I am,
I've only been doing this for 6 years, buddy.
Exactly, which is really an indictment on you. My opponent in this race has had 6 years, and he's done nothing with it.
Whatever you say, buddy.
Attack pack.
Attack pack. Paid for by Attack pack.
The overhead lighting was brutal on these people.
There's one photo of Middleton you got where he looks like an evil villain because of his facial expression, but also the shadows
cast by the super aggressive overhead light. And, of course, Middleton, right, still has a head of hair, so it casts more of a shadow. Ironically, Wrights and Chip, who share the same barber, their pictures were easier because there wasn't that overhang of like a head of hair. They were a little shiny at times, but, but it was good. It was a good trip. It was real fun getting to see everybody, and we love being on the road. Yeah,
and we might be on the road next week. We'll see. I might be going up to the Panhandle for what would be a very, very interesting press conference involving a certain state affairs chairman who is embattled right now, and the West Texas delegation and the Speaker of the House. So,
hi everyone. We'd like to thank the sponsor of today's podcast, the Lowy Law Firm. For over 20 years, Adam Lowy has helped injured Texans recover and heal. From car accidents to dog bites, Adam Lowy is there to help and gets results. Go to loweylawfirm.com to find out more and get a free consultation. Adam, of course, is very well known on Twitter for his commentary and observations on Texas politics, so be sure to give him a follow as well. Thanks to our sponsor, the Lowy Law Firm. Speaking of state affairs.
Oh, boy. Oh, man, that was good. I guess we'll talk about the Tony Gonzalez thing now.
Yeah.
Okay, to give us, there were like 3 either scandals or close to scandals that happened this week. And the big one was Tony Gonzalez.
This week has just been a year of Texas politics because, and obviously this one is the biggest one, and it's becoming very much a national story. And it's, just absolutely really tragic. If you're not following along, a staffer for U.S. Congressman at San Antonio, Tony Gonzalez, who I think now we can say did have an affair with Gonzalez, was then kind of pushed out of the office.
He's refused to acknowledge it.
He's refused to acknowledge it. Set herself on fire, allegedly, and died. After things kind of fell apart there, and they were both married. And so there have been, and this story was broken by Tony Ortiz, our very good friend, last year about the affair, and obviously that's when she killed herself. But there have been more revelations that have been coming at a rapid pace over this week because text messages from the staffer were released where she says she had an affair.
And the reason this is all coming out now is because the husband is now talking.
Yeah, he's talking to the press. He's releasing things.
The San Antonio Express News broke the texts and an interview with him. So it's been blowing up this week.
Yes. And it has just been day after day of updates on this because more information is coming out. Tony Gonzalez, after really refusing to comment on it, is now claiming that he's being blackmailed by the deceased staffer's husband.
And specifically the husband's attorney.
Because they are considering suing Gonzalez for his actions under this, but are offering a settlement and a NDA prior. And so Gonzalez tweeted out a picture of the attorney's email to him saying that it was blackmail. And it's just gotten extremely messy. And, of course, Gonzalez is in a very, very competitive primary against Brendan Herrera, who ran against him last cycle and came with basically 400 votes away from defeating him in the primary
It was so
last
close,
time around.
there was a recount.
It was so
Gonzalez still won it, but yeah.
Razor thin. But, of course, this time around, Donald Trump endorsed Gonzalez. This was after the staffer killed herself, and the original stories of the affair came out, but it was before this kind of confirmation has come out. And so there's an open question. We know for a fact that conversations are happening in D.C. on whether or not maybe to rescind the endorsement. There's a lot going on. I mean, it's one, first of all, above all, very tragic situation. Yeah. And two, just extremely politically messy.
But Gonzalez has been through a lot before electorally and always come out on top. You know, when he first won the seat, it was a battleground seat, and it was partisan-wise something Democrats could have won. They never did. It was the old Will Hurd seat, and he's held the seat ever since, both through primaries and general elections, and he's probably going to have one of each. He already has a primary. He's probably going to have a really intense general election this year. But he's made it through it all. It's kind of like Teflon so far. And maybe I think that one will go to a runoff, especially after this. But from there, all bets are off. Who the heck knows what happens in that race? So
yeah, it's definitely become kind of the biggest story right now out of Texas.
Yeah. Did you mention the House ethics investigation?
Oh yeah, no. So I mean, it also came out today that the Gonzalez has been under a long-standing ethics investigation surrounding this as well. It just hadn't been known. It was being done behind the scenes.
Because, of course, it's against congressional policy to be in a relationship for a congressman to be in a relationship with staff.
Yeah, I mean, it's HR 101.
Oh, yeah. Like, you don't need an official policy to find that problematic.
Like, we would never date because that would be...
No, but we did sleep in the same room this week, and
separate beds. And let me tell you,
it wasn't like Bert and Ernie.
I did not realize that Brad snores.
Yeah,
kind of aggressively.
Hey, we all have our flaws.
Allegedly.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding. I'm a very flawed and fallen human being, and I thank our Lord in Christ Jesus for saving me and redeeming me, and making sure I don't snore at night very loudly.
Well, sorry about that.
It's okay.
You're the one that booked a La Quinta Inn hotel room, so.
I love a good La Quinta, you know?
La Quinta. All right, let's move on to the next Scandalite story. So, actually, let's touch on the Wesley Hunt, John Cornyn situation.
Right.
And last Friday,
after you and Cassie had recorded an excellent podcast. People are telling me it was the best podcast they've heard.
Specifically because you weren't on it.
Specifically because I wasn't on it to mispronounce things. My parents were like, never go back. That night, Twitter pops off in Texas politics. Give us the breakdown.
So, Matt Mackowiak, senior comms director for the Cornyn campaign, tweeted out this long missive with some images.
Very long. Nobody is short-winded in Texas politics.
No. And Twitter now allows you to be even more long-winded. If you pay for Twitter Blue, you can write a novel in a tweet, and people do it. So basically, this entire press release was put in the tweets, and it caught a lot of attention. And at first, the allegation was made that Wesley Hunt committed voter fraud and perjury. And as the line of events go, according to the Cornyn camp and the documentation they tweeted out, in 2016, Hunt voted but he wasn't registered to vote. And when that happens, he told the election judge that he had just been discharged from the Army a month previous, so he missed the window to register to vote. And so what they do in that situation is, particularly for armed service members, or veterans in this case, they allow you to vote provisionally if you have an excuse, and they cure it later. They see if your excuse is valid, and then they might count the vote towards whatever election we're talking about here. So he did that. Now the Cornicamp tweets out an signed affidavit of Wesley Hunt saying that he was discharged a month prior to that 2016 election. And they also tweet out his discharge documentation. Apparently both are publicly available, I think, through the Harris County Clerk's office. But they tweet it out and they show that he was actually discharged 4 years previous in 2012. That's what the allegations are. So, I mean, if that is accurate, if that's the accurate line of events, he lied to the election judge in order to be able to vote when he wasn't registered without a valid excuse. And so the accusation is voter fraud and also perjury because he lied to the election judge in a signed affidavit.
But unfortunately for Team Cornyn, that did not become the story at all.
No, because they shot themselves in the foot.
With like a bazooka.
Yes, there's no leg left.
It's gone. It's completely
evaporated. What they did, what Makowiak did, the original documents he put out,
completely unredacted.
Unredacted.
Had home address.
Yep.
Last 4 digits social security number.
Yep.
Other personally identifiable information.
Yeah.
And so immediately people were like, "This is doxing."
Yeah.
Another candidate in the race, Attorney General Ken Paxton, jumps in because Makowiak was saying, Ken, are you going to investigate Wesley Hunt for voter fraud? And Ken's like, I'm going to investigate. If anybody needs to be investigated, it's you for doxing a sitting U.S. congressman by releasing his home address. Mm-hmm. And, of course, this took off. Everybody
that became the story.
Mudslinging. Yep. Wesley Hunt comes in and actually goes to the extent of filing a police report.
Yep.
And so that just blows up late Friday.
Now the Cornicamp, their argument is that all this is publicly available information, and under state law, there is like a state. It's not called anti-doxing law, but basically the same thing.
It is,
There is an exception within there written in for politicians, meaning this doesn't apply to them.
Yeah.
Now, on the flip side, and this is what Wesley Hunt's campaign is contending, there is a federal anti-doxing law for specifically federal officers, of which congressmen are. And so, which one weighs more? We'll see if there's any charges filed in relation to the police report. I kind of think it's just going to go away.
Probably
nothing's going to take any action on it.
Campaign things.
And it's not really going to affect the race at all. This is just a campaign v. campaign internal squabble, like insider Texas politics squabble, that really isn't going to make the news in any regard or break into the minds of voters. So at least that's my thought. I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Especially like 2 weeks out from the election, is it? Of all the messages out there, is that the thing that's going to...
sloppy,
Certainly.
An error that could have been avoided.
Yeah, unforced error.
Because they did delete the original tweet and then retweet it with the redacted copies.
Yeah.
Which, of course, is kind of like, if they're arguing that they didn't do anything wrong the first time, then why take it down and repost with the redactions? Which, if this ever gets to a courtroom, and I think I agree with your point, it probably won't, that would certainly be brought up.
Yeah. So that was another inflammatory happening that occurred this week.
Third inflammatory happening
was, I guess, just further development on the Huffines-Zorro Ranch. Now that I think about it, Cassie and I did cover this last week in fairly good, extensive. Wow, I can't talk right now. Fairly extensive detail.
Are you catching my inability to pronounce.
It must be the combination of
To pronunciate.
very little sleep, and now some bourbon. But the development this week is that Huffines actually addressed the ownership of the Zorro Ranch, the former Jeffrey Epstein-owned ranch in New Mexico. The argument from him was, and help me out here if I'm missing anything, but they were going to strip it all down and recreate it as.
Yeah, so basically they purchased it back in 2023, 4 years after Epstein died. And this was revealed, like y'all mentioned on last week's podcast.
Was revealed in a dream.
Was revealed in a dream, yeah. Cite your sources. I saw it in a dream. No, a New Mexico paper got some publicly available documents about this, showing the connection to a LLC owned by the Huffines family. And they said that the money went to, and of course this ignited just a firestorm of people online alleging that, the Huffines had lied about saying that the proceeds went to Epstein victims. Tony Ortiz, current revolt, mentioned a couple times, he obtained a email from the Epstein estate lawyer confirming that this money that the Huffines paid for the ranch did indeed go to settling some of the lawsuits that the victims have had against Epstein. So it did go to the Epstein victims. And then Huffines came out and said that they're going to be converting the property to a Christian retreat to help kind of people recover from these types of things. They've renamed the ranch after a saint in the Catholic tradition that is for restoration and healing and stuff like that. And so he started giving some interviews and comments on this, basically talking about their plan for the ranch. But it's still just a crazy story that came out right at the start of early voting in a very competitive primary for the comptroller's office, where you've got Christy Craddock, the railroad commissioner, and then you also have the Abbott-endorsed acting comptroller, former state senator Kelly Hancock. And so, this story has obviously been pushed around because it is a little wild.
Yeah, and I think it's very fair to say that it was politically a dumb move by Huffines for someone who has desires to run for statewide office down the road, and he certainly did back in 2023 because he had just come off one.
Yeah.
This is going to be used against you if it ever comes out.
And
so from that perspective,
oh man, I just lost the primary for governor. Let me buy Jeffrey Epstein's ranch.
Yeah.
It's an interesting thought process.
Not long-term thinking, at least politically. Now, maybe he wasn't thinking politically at all, and he thought this would be a good thing to do. And, there was a lot of back and forth about whether the proceeds for this ranch went to Epstein's victims. Based on an email from the estate's attorney,
it seems like it did.
It did, and
there was a lot of accusations that Huffines was refusing to cooperate with law enforcement to allow them to come and search the property for potential bodies that had been buried there. They have come out and said, one, of course we will work with law enforcement authorities, but also, two, we haven't been contacted by any state, local, or federal. And so there was just a lot of confusion about it, but a lot of that as they've been coming out, But it raises the question of just like, one, why? And then two, obviously it's going to have an impact on the election. Huffines is the front runner. This race is probably going to go to a runoff. There's still a lot of time left. And then if Huffines makes it to November, you can rest assured that this will be used by Democrats in the general election.
And I think whoever makes the runoff will probably try and use it against him.
Yes.
Because that is generally, in this kind of race, especially this one where it's
kind of down ballot.
Down ballot. Nobody has that much name ID. The game in the primary is to make the runoff by boosting your name ID as much as you can. In the runoff is when you go negative, and we will see that play out, whoever Huffines faces in the next round of the Republican primary. So another bit of an unforced error. I think there's other factors to it and other considerations probably that the Huffines family employed, but from a political perspective, shot themselves in the foot on it. So I think that was the last scandal. We got a couple other things to talk about before we wrap this up. Big developments in a couple open congressional seats. Specifically, Donald Trump has weighed in. He backed this week Alex Mueller in CD9, which we kind of saw that coming. The writing was sort of on the wall there. All the money had been going to her. Club for Growth backed her. Jim Jordan backed her. It was just slowly building up to that. And the very interesting dynamic there is back in September, October, Briscoe Cain, who's a state lawmaker running for that seat as well, he was the front runner. And the polling showed him, especially because he has been an elected official in that district for years, he had the upper hand, but things have turned so wildly that now you have Donald Trump endorsing Alex Mueller. The other race was CD35, Carlos de la Cruz. He is brother of Monica de la Cruz, who's congressman in CD15, who has her own general election to worry about, probably against Bobby Polito, the Tejano music star. Trump jumped into that despite another state lawmaker, John Lujan, running for the seat, and Trump backed De La Cruz. So,
and of course, the irony in all this is that both of those lawmakers had, at Trump's request, participated in the congressional redistricting.
Yeah. Now, they weren't pulling strings. It was the big three that were pulling the strings and decided to do this, to embark on the mid-decade redistricting.
Course, but they
were loyal soldiers. They voted.
Yep, and they were part of the legislative process, and then ran for some of these seats in the new lines. And
they have every right to feel upset about it, and I know their campaigns do. They were like, we took the bullet for you on this, and to get you more seats, and you're not going to just throw us an endorsement here? Come on. And, that's their perspective, and I get it, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The other candidates have the endorsement, and now they have to figure out how to pull a rabbit out of the hat and win this race when the deck's stacked against them.
Yeah.
The deck, not the deck. The deck.
We're struggling.
Oh, man,
it's
what a
crazy
day.
when you talk for, 2 hours.
Well, and
we've been
I did Nathan Johnson's interview, and so I've
right.
been So we apologize for the subpar level of skill in this.
Compared to ourselves, this is still better than anything else you'll ever hear in your life.
Yeah. So that's an interesting dynamic in those
better
races.
Better than your child's first words. Better than I love you.
You're still on this? Okay.
We have to promote, Brad.
You're right. Always be selling.
Always be closing. So,
let's talk one more thing. There was back and forth. I think Cassie and I talked about this a bit. Mayor John Whitmire's State of the City, last week.
Right.
But there was more developments on this, and just give us this.
Earlier this week, Dallas Mayor Eric Johnson announced that he will be leading a delegation of civic and business leaders from Dallas to New York for the sole purpose of poaching New York businesses and convincing them to move to Dallas. This, of course, comes after Dallas and Eric Johnson received a lot of criticism after AT&T announced that they would be leaving downtown Dallas for Plano. And we were just up in downtown Dallas, and AT&T is a major force and player in downtown. They've got thousands of employees. Their branding is everywhere. I mean, you can't walk 5 steps in downtown without seeing somebody with an AT&T branded vest, jacket, whatever. Even as you're driving into the city, if you're coming up from the south, 5-6 miles out, you can see the AT&T logo on one of the high skyscrapers. And so it was a huge blow to the city that they decided to move. And they received a lot of criticism from Republicans. Greg Abbott, in our launch interview, went after the city, blaming crime and homelessness for being why AT&T moved. And then down at the state of the city, going back to the kind of feud between Dallas and Houston, where Houston says that they're better than Dallas, and then Dallas says they've never heard of Houston at all. It's like always been like this, too. But John Whitmire took a jab at Eric Johnson, saying that, basically reiterating the points that Abbott had made, that crime and homelessness led to this, and, Houston's doing a better job, and that's why more businesses are coming to Houston. So Eric Johnson isn't taking that sitting down. They are going up to New York City and trying to bring more businesses, specifically financial industry businesses, to Dallas to be a part of the growing financial hub that Dallas is becoming as a part of Wall Street.
Yeah.
So there are now 3 stock exchanges that will be opening in Dallas, and it really is becoming a major financial hub. And there are a lot of businesses, obviously, moving to Texas. Many of them are choosing Dallas. Many of them are choosing Houston. Others, Austin. And it's a big competition. This is something that he mentioned in his news conference. Economic development is just a head-to-head competition with these places trying to get these major corporations and all of their employees to come and move and be a part of the local communities.
It's not just state v. state on the economic development. It's city v. city, town v. town. Like it's very competitive, and that's where you see a lot of these discussions about tax breaks coming into play, and it's
various incentives that cities and counties can give.
Question: Do you think the person who came up with Y'all Street made a bag?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm mad it wasn't us.
Yeah. That would have been nice to underwrite our business with that, but we're not so lucky. We'll have to come up with the next best idea.
Nobody gives tax breaks to
media outlets.
I wonder why.
Man, but they should. Democracy dies in darkness, Richie. Come on.
So true.
Yeah.
So true. I've heard that before.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
I'm sure the person who came up with that got a bag too from the Washington Post who came up with it or put it out. But I think we should probably just end this. We're delirious at this point.
We're
running on empty.
We're running on less than empty. I don't know. We're about to have to call a tow truck to pull us out of here.
I felt like I was about to pass out about 2-3 times in this podcast. So maybe I'm going to go lay horizontally and get the rest of our stuff done that we need to. With that, let's get over with this and get to the weekend. And
the weekend is coming.
Just be done. So
thank you, everybody, for joining us. We love you. We miss you. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. So
catch you next week.